Hello, good morning, everyone. Let's wait a minute for everyone to join. Welcome to our Bonseyes webinar. We are about to start. I still can see some people in the waiting room, so let them wait until they join, and then we'll start. Okay, great. I see that there are no more people in the waiting room, so I believe we can start. So once again, thank you for joining us today. As you know, this is a webinar. It's organized by Bonseyes project. Okay, so today it's our second webinar connected with the second open call that is led by Miguel de Prado, which is moderating this. So I'll just give you some housekeeping rule and the introduction just to give you the context, but the main element and the main key of this webinar is to show you the Bonseyes AI marketplace services and resources, and that is why what Miguel and the senior researcher at Bonseyes marketplace will tell you about today. So Miguel, I don't know if you want to say hello to the audience before we start.
Hello, nice to meet you all. I'm looking forward to show you around about the marketplace and the Bonseyes project.
Great. Okay, so I guess we can start with no further delay. Just some rules. So, well, all of you are automatically muted. Okay, we would appreciate if you could put your full name and surname so we also know who you are. And for the questions, please include them in the chat and we'll read and we'll have like 15-minute session at the end of all the webinar to answer them. And also just to let you know that this webinar is recorded and will be later on publicly accessible. So of course, this is also for your rights in case you don't want to turn off on your cameras, which usually we don't recommend because then also the connection will go lower. So let's keep the cameras off and please use the chat for any questions. So starting from the overview, in case there are some of you that haven't heard about Bonseyes. So, you know, we are a Horizon 2020 funded project, and we are part of the bigger family of we call them ICT 49 projects that aim to help SMEs. And these are small and medium companies to digitalize with an easy and affordable way through implementation of AI. So this is like a very big, higher goal. And in Bonseyes, we aim to get to these objectives through development of Bonseyes AI marketplace that will be the tool for like AI as a service for the deep edge. So the idea is that as these SMEs can actually easily access to Bonseyes marketplace, where there will be like the building blocks that they can use to implement AI, and with that help them to digitalize. So, and Bonseyes project is organized by 8 partners so that we are located all around the Europe. Some of us concentrated on the technical side of the platform, so developing the Bonseyes marketplace platform, working closely with the AI talents and SMEs on their needs to adapt the marketplace to their needs again. And then we also have some partners like Easily that is responsible for business mentoring and dissemination because, well, they are one of the biggest digital business schools in Spain, and Funding Box that I represent. I actually forgot to introduce myself, that I'm Izabela Zdrazinska, from Funding Box. Okay, and I'm leading the open call selection, and then also like things related to the grant redistribution. So we aim to like how the platform will get actually these users, how we will get this opinion about the marketplace is through the open calls. So here you can see we have already organized last year first open call for AI talents. We call it AI supply. And just to mention that these two open calls are totally different. Okay, so the first open call was dedicated to the AI talents that are researchers, data scientists, also some teams from research centers that were working on, that were founded for development and integration of AI-attached solutions responding to specific industrial challenge. So last year we asked some big industrial players about their main challenges for the AI. And based on that, the AI talents selected in first open call were working to develop the AI solutions that were published on the Bonseyes marketplace. And now in the second open call, we are looking for a totally different profile because we're looking for the adopter SMEs. Okay, so that is why we call it AI demand, because the SMEs selected in this open call aim to define the challenge. Okay, so in the first open call, there were big players. Now we want SMEs to define their challenge for development of the AI-attached solution. And here, all these AI talents that we actually managed to be in contact with, now we have more than 200 AI talents like in our ecosystem. Those AI talents will be contracted by selected SMEs through the grant that they will receive and will help them to develop the AI solutions that also will be published on the Bonseyes marketplace. So this is like the overview of these two open calls. And as the benefits, so the selected adopters will enter to the 6-month support program that is planned to start in February next year. We plan to select 11 adopters, okay, or we call them also that have use cases. And the funding is up to 74,000 euro, but that includes the grant for contracting AI talents, that this pool of 200 AI talents that we have. SMEs will have to hire one of them to actually do the work, okay, or to develop the work on the AI solution, and also for HPC providers, okay, that are needed also for this task, for execution of this use case. And then what is important, and also why we are here, support with Bonseyes AI marketplace tool. So you know that one of the key elements of the proposal and of this open call is to actually try to refer on how you will reuse the Bonseyes marketplace tool. So that's why today we want to tell you actually what's available and how you can benefit from this marketplace. And then also for those that will enter support program, we'll have business mentoring to actually scale up the AI solution. So all of this, I hope will make you to apply and well, to write the winning proposal. And for the ideal proposal, just the summary, because all the indications are very well described in Guide for Applicants, okay, in case you would like to go back to this. But I wanted just to give you the overview about what is the ideal proposal. So, of course, it's a use case for AI-attached adoption, okay, that allows to reuse Bonseyes marketplace services and resources. Also, that have a good quality data, okay, that will be used for the development of this AI solution. Where team that is applying can lead such a development. Okay, here it is important to remember, as the adopter SME, you will be in contact with the AI talents, okay, or that will be working on the solution. So it's important to have at least like basic knowledge or basic understanding. But of course, there will be the experts that you will hire to do the job. But we will help you, of course, with that, with the contact with the AI talents. But it is a key to at least have this basic understanding of that. And then scalability, here, of course, more if your solution could be scaled to other industries, this is always a big plus, okay? That's why I'm saying here we're talking about ideal proposal. Okay, so when writing, when filling out the application form, please try to tackle these points, and then you have a biggest chance to get selected. And this is just a summary of what I said, but well, just to make sure that this is clear of who is this applicant, no, that submits the ideal proposal. So it's the adopter SME that applies, defines the use case, receive the funding, so you become selected adopters, become beneficiaries. And from the grant they receive, this 74,000 euro, they will be matched, okay, with the AI talent, which are these external services. And well, also the adopter SME will be the data provider, right? Because the use case should be actually within your, using your data to get this AI solution. And then this very important element that we'll tackle today, Bonseyes marketplace resources. And so just to summarize how to apply, the application for is available on the Funding Box platform. So you just have to sign up, click apply now, and then you can see the application form. Please do not wait until the very last moment with the submission. Here, the tip from me, you can, if you have already like 98% of application ready, please submit, and you can always edit it until until the closure of the open call, which is 2nd November at 5 p.m. Okay, so I always advise to like submit in the morning, and then if you need to make some final adjustment, you can do it during the day, but at least you're sure that it is submitted. Okay, so that's from the technical side. And please remember to read guide for applicants. It is like super important document for this open call, and frequently ask questions in case you want to get into more details. And with that introduction of the context, we get to the most important parts of today's webinar, which is Bonseyes Marketplace, and I pass the voice to Miguel.
Thank you, Sarah. I will share my screen. Hello, everyone. This is Miguel de Prado, and I will be presenting the Bonseyes Marketplace and Ecosystem. I'm a senior engineer at the Bonseyes Community Association, and I've been working in the Bonseyes and Bonsapps project for the last 6 years. And the objective of today is to show you around a little bit more about what we have, what is Bonseyes and the Bonsapps service layer, and so that you can understand a bit better how to reuse the components that we already have at the marketplace to solve the challenges that you may provide for this application, for this open call. So I will go first of all through a bit of an introduction, and then I will explain the Bonseyes AI value chain and the different steps that this involves. So, so we see many key emerging applications like automotive, healthcare, finance, telecommunications, security, robotics, that with the adoption of deep learning, they can bring a new technological revolution. And up to now, or at least 1-2 years ago, most of these applications were running in the cloud. However, running in the cloud is energy expensive because you need to power all these big machines, and also it takes more time to send and wait for the data to come back, as well as it's less secure because once you push the data to the cloud, you don't really know what's going to happen with it or who can see it. So what we propose is edge computing, which is processing the data directly on the device, and this is much more energy efficient. It works in real time and is, of course, much more secure because the data doesn't leave your own device. And I would like to show this, this graph where we show the different layers from the cloud to the deep edge. So on the higher end, we see the cloud and these big tech companies like Google, Facebook, Baidu, that they provide a centralized and monolithic services. And as we go down this scale through the network devices and sensors, what we see is that the power consumption and the latency is going to decrease, But the complexity, however, is going to increase because these devices and sensors are much more heterogeneous and are a bit more difficult to use in a more regular way. However, what we provide is these centralized and distributed tools so that SMEs and users are able to deploy a solution on these lower devices and sensors. And that's the main objective of Bonseyes, the shift from the cloud to the deep edge. So that was Bonseyes. So Bonseyes was a project that was funded by the European Union in 2017, and that was finished, and we constructed all the tools and the workflows. Now, Bonsapps, which is the current project, is a service layer that builds on top of Bonseyes. So these tools and workflows are more usable by the end user. And what we offer is a series of modular services for experimentation, data reuse, optimization, benchmarking, deployment of hardware, and security. And we hope through these open calls to increase the maturity and the usage of AI among enterprises and SMEs that currently don't have the internal resources in terms of capacity, expertise, or time to adopt AI solutions in their own products. So given this introduction, let's see what the Bonseyes AI value chain is. So first of all, what we provide is a multi-party collaboration in a distributed way. We said that an end-to-end solution to bring AI into our products is quite difficult because it involves data, a lot of knowledge to train these different algorithms on the data, and also deployment tools and security to be able to execute these AI applications on embedded devices. So what we offer is a collaboration between different entities, for example, researchers, SMEs, and startups, so everyone can bring their own expertise and we all together can achieve this end-to-end solution. And that's what we did already through the first open call. We proposed 4 different verticals: healthcare, automotive, manufacturing, and robotics, where we were proposing AI challenges and AI talents were working on solving them. And how is that? This is the usually a value chain that we see in the program that we offer at Bonsapps. So there is 3 main roles in this workflow. There's the innovator, who's going to define a challenge, the AI talent, who's going to solve the challenge and deploy AI applications, and finally, the developer or integrator that is going to integrate different applications into the final product or system. I'm just going to. So let's go first step by step. So given an innovator, for example, an SME that want to solve a challenge with AI. A challenge is the problem actually that we want to solve. So you need to describe what we want to achieve. For example, I want to detect the pedestrians on the road at 30 frames per second with an accuracy of 90%, and that should be running on Raspberry Pi. So that's a challenge, a description of a problem and how it should be solved and all the requirements and interfaces that should be met. The innovator also needs to clarify some reference data sets that can be used to solve this challenge. Usually those data sets should be either public or commercial. In this case, we are aiming for commercial data sets so that then the final product can also be sold by the SMEs for their own clients. Once we have defined the challenge and the data sets, the problem goes to the AI talent. The AI talent is usually data scientists and developers. Then they know well, they're experts in the AI value chain. So first of all, what they're going to do is to create a data tool. So a data tool is a component that structures the data set in a meaningful way that can be used in a training environment. So this data tool is a component that's just going to translate the raw data into something that's more structured. Once the AI talent has done that, then it can be plugged into an AI asset. An AI asset is a container, it's a sort of an environment that allows training and deployment. And this is quite important because it allows the quick iteration between training and deployment so that we are sure that the models that we train, they are also deployed and we can get an assessment in terms of latency, memory, and power consumption. If we don't do that in this iterative workflow, then we are not really sure when we train that we're going to meet the specifications that we're providing in the challenge. Once we are sure that those specifications have been met, then we can create an AI application. An AI application is a more optimized representation of those AI models that we train in the AI asset. And for that, we also have an inference engine that allows the execution in a more optimized way. Finally, once the application has been completed, then we can pass to an AI developer or integrator. This is going to create an AI solution. So an AI application by itself is not very meaningful. For example, we can have face detection or emotion recognition, or we can have pedestrian detection or image classification. But by itself, it's not that meaningful. What we want to do is to combine many AI applications together to create a system that can achieve a more complex solution. For example, in-cabin monitoring systems, or we're inside the car, and then several applications are running at the same time to see if we are looking on the road, if we have the hands on the wheel, if we have our belt well secured. All these things that combined together can really provide a meaningful AI solution. So this is the workflow that we propose in Bonseyes, or in Bonsai, sorry, and it was already validated through the first open call. And for that, we have different milestones and different documentation, of course, and tools that the SMEs, the innovator, and the talents need to follow to achieve this whole pipeline. In all these cases, we are connected with the Bonseyes marketplace and the Bonsai layer with different challenges, AI asset, AI apps, and all the services that are available for these people to achieve this solution. Now, in this open call, what we are trying to achieve is that SMEs propose their own challenges. And if we really want to build solutions, then we need to go through this pipeline. But what is much more easier is to reuse all those components that were already available in the Bonseyes marketplace and that were provided by the first open call. So we have a lot of data sets that were already described, around 40, 50 data sets, same as data tools. We have 10 AI assets that were built to solve those 10 challenges that were described in the first open call. And we have around 50 or 60 applications that are the optimized version of those models that were trained in the AI assets. So the idea of you, of the SMEs, is that you can propose a challenge that somehow can reuse as much as possible the content that was already provided. So you already have some applications that are available, and maybe you only need to develop one missing that you don't have yet. So what they're going to do next is to go step by step through the available data set, data tools, AIS, and AI apps that we have at the moment. So you have an overview of what's available and can be reused. Even though maybe the AI asset is not, this environment for training and deployment is not completely adequate, or the data set is not completely fitting your requirements, the idea is that all these blocks can be easily plug and play, so that if you bring a new data set, you can quickly get a data tool and then reuse the AI asset that was already available for the specific challenge that may be similar to yours. I hope this is clear. Otherwise, we can come later to this and see what you miss and then what can be done for that. So let's go now step by step through all these different challenges, data sets, AI assets, AI apps, developer platforms, and finally the Bonseyes marketplace. So we'll try to give you some examples of these and how they look like. So these are the challenges that were already provided for the first open call. They were described in the guide for applicants. So you have all these details of the different things that I'm going to explain you now. We have 10 different challenges about robotics, healthcare, manufacturing, and automotive. For example, if we go to this specific challenge, which is the one about gesture recognition, we see that this is how it looks like. So we have some documentation that provides what is the challenge doing. For example, if we click here, we can download it. And we'll see how this looks like. Okay, so the challenge, this is going to provide a description of what we want to solve. In this case, it's a more general challenge about the driver monitoring systems. And here we have a different signals that we're going to achieve. And the challenges are this one: gaze detection, body part tracking, and gestures. So for example, if we are about gaze, in this case, we are going to say the problem at hand that we want to achieve. So this is gaze, a small introduction about what we want to achieve. It takes a camera, and then we need to track the face and then get finally the gaze estimation. And here is a bit the description of how the signals should be configured to achieve that. We have some pre-processing to crop the face. There's some neural networks that are going to do the job of detecting the gaze, and then how the signals are defined. All I want to show you is how these things are structured, are documented, so that it can be replicated for this new open call. And one thing that's important is that we are going to have some dataset overview, so the talents can go and try training on these datasets, and also some definition of the signals that, for example, are here. We're going to define how the signals input and output should look like. So the talents, when they build this product, they are going to respect the requirements and the specifications of these signals. For example, here we say, okay, these signals should look like this. They have some specifications. They should be called this way. They have this data type, etc., etc. Okay, just to give you an idea of what this looks like. If we go back here, this is a part of the documentation. We also have the interfaces in different files. We have C++, Python, and JSON schema. So everyone can know that these are the interfaces that should be described. This is going to be done by the innovator. So the innovator establishes the requirements, and then the talent needs to respect these interfaces. And we also have here an example on how this should be, just to make sure that we are doing the right thing. We have a few tests and examples, so it can be quickly tried, and we are sure that we are respecting those interfaces. So this is about the challenge. Just to make sure you understood, the challenge is the description of the problem that then is passed on to the talent to actually train an AI model. Now, let's look a bit about the data sets. So we want to have data sets and understand what those data sets they do. We just don't want to point to a data set and say, try it out, because then you go to the data set and it's not clear what it does, if it is commercialable or not, if you have the actual signals or annotations that are useful. So what we asked to the previous AI talents during the first open call is to document data sets in a way that can be much more understandable once someone else goes and reuse them. So if we go here, we have these different data sets. We have about 40. In this case, it's collector SDD2. And again, we have some documentation, some downloadable samples that we can quickly see what it does, and a README. And this README is going to explain you what this data set is, the different, what it consists of, different images, different annotation, etc., and a small data model description of how it is organized. Now, if we go again to this documentation, it will be a more descriptive documentation about what this dataset contains. So we can also download this and see this dataset. So here is just a collection of datasets actually. So in this case, the talents, they collected several datasets for this challenge for defect detection. And you have a description about the overview, general details, technical description, and then the licensing. And here, I just want to go quickly through this. You have all these details on different steps about all the basic content, publication info, technical description, and then also what's quite important, the licensing. So the idea of this is that a user can come, take this data set and quickly understand if it can be reused for the problem or not. And this is available, will be available by all the SMEs. So they can come here, see what's available, what data have been described, and maybe try to use them, use these ones, or maybe just provide new ones. And for that, they will need to go through this step of documenting a data set. Okay, so now we are at the challenges, data sets. Now let's look at the data tools. So data tool, as what I mentioned before, it is a tool that is going to structure a data set in a more meaningful way so they can be reused and plugged into a training environment. So a dataset by itself is not really meaningful because it's difficult to reuse. Now, a data tool is going to be plug and play. You can have an AI asset or an environment for training. You plug a data tool or you plug another data tool, and then you can train easily on different data sets. Here we have a template to create new data tools. And I'm going to show you just one of those data tools that were created in the first open call. For example, let's have a look at this one. Gesture is a data tool for automotive. It contains different samples about gesture recognition. So with the hand, you can do several gestures, and then it provides annotations for those. So again, we have a description of this. And then in the table of content, you can see how it can be used. There's different tags, different versions, how you can download the source data, examples, annotations, and then how you can use this. You can run the data tool either in a Python environment or in a Docker container. And then it provides an output, which is this structured data set, and also analysis report about how this data is basically how it is structured. So if we have the different classes, different balance between different classes, how the annotations are. So all this is provided and can be reused and can be plugged into a training environment. So if I scroll down here, we see these samples on these annotations, and also all these installation processor prerequisites and how you can use it. So why is this useful? Because you can take this directly and plug it into a training environment without much delay. And also the fact that it provides the data analysis report helps the data scientist to understand if this data is useful to train a model or not. We also provide this example data loader. So this is an example of how this data tool can be directly included in a PyTorch training environment. And again, we have around 50 data tools. I think that's been described in the annex of the open course, so you can go and check them out, all these different data tools. Now we can go next to the AI assets. So once we have data set and data tools, then I think this is a bit blocked. Okay. AI assets. So an AI asset is this environment that allows the quick iteration between training and deployment. Here again, we have an AI asset container generator in case you want to create your own AI asset. And what I'm going to do now is just to show you how an AI asset looks like. So an AI asset is a repository. In this case, for example, it's OpenPIFPath to detect the whole body pose estimation. And here it contains different steps that we can do for data export and the models optimization, etc. So just for your understanding, it's a container that provides a service to train and deploy. And just to give you a better idea of how it looks like, we have also some documentation and pages. So all these can be accessed by you once you apply to the open call, and it provides a reference and documentation about what it's trying to do. So in this case, this AI asset, it was taken by OpenPIFPath, which is a project that was started by the EPFL, a university in Switzerland, and it provides a description of what it does, this AI asset. So in this case, it's going to track the pose estimation of people. And it provides also annotations for the different face landmarks, hands, and also the different joints. And here on the left, we see how we can use this AI asset. So we have a workflow that can be used by talents, by users, and it tells you how you need to install this Docker container, what platforms are available to use. We have x86, NVIDIA Jetson platforms, Raspberry Pi, and IMX. And then how you can go through the process of checking out the data, export the models, which are usually PyTorch or TensorFlow, to ONNX. We take ONNX, which is this standard representation to deploy models on embedded devices. So we export from the training environment to ONNX, and then from ONNX to a deployment framework, so that is much more optimized. We can also optimize these AI models so that they can run more, they can run faster on the embedded device and consume less power consumption. And we have a few different test processes that can be used quickly to evaluate if the asset works or not. We can process an image, we can process a video, or we can process the camera in real time. And we also have benchmarks. So given a data set or a data tool, then we can benchmark the model on that specific data set, and then we see basically the results. And for example, here we have different results about these benchmarks. We see that the average precision for this specific data set is this, and that. And for that, for all these services or for all these tests, you have a simple API, for example, Bonseyes, OpenPIFPath, benchmark, and then you give the model, the engine you want to use, the size, and a few more details, and basically you will get all these details out. Just to give you an example of how the video processor works. So here, I think there's an example about this. So here's with this API, so we can quickly process an image by giving the model, input size, the engine, and the image. And same we can do for a video. So we get here the outputs. And for the video, we can do the same, and we get a video result that looks like this. So this is an AI asset. So an AI asset, just to summarize, training environment that quickly evaluates also the deployment on an embedded device to assess that we meet the requirements. We can easily plug different data sets in the same training environment. So if you can reuse one of those 10 AI assets that are already available, that you can just plug your data and then get a model trained on a different data set that is more useful or suitable for your own challenge of this open code. So now let's go to the AI app and inference engine. So once, as if you remember, once we have an AI asset that has been trained, so it's been used, and you have trained a model and you have evaluated that the requirements are met, then we can create the AI app inference engine, and we can create an AI app and we can use an inference engine to execute this on embedded devices. So let me try to show you this. So here we have a variety of AI apps, or sorry, some models in ONNX format that has been trained. We have about 40 models, I believe, or a bit less, maybe 30 models that have been trained. And those are being specified again in the annex. So you can see what these are, the models about gesture recognition, defect detection, collision avoidance, keyword spotting, heart rate detection. And all these can be deployed on several platforms. And for that, I would like to show you a bit of documentation that's actually public and can be seen by anyone. So this is the Bonsai marketplace documentation. I will come back to this in a moment. And in this user guides AI app, it explains what is an AI app in Bonsai. So an AI app is the optimized representation of a DNN model and contains a pre-processing, DNN inference, and post-processing. And we have this LPDNN inference framework, which is something that was created to quickly deploy AI applications on different embedded devices. We have different tasks, and then by using this LPDNN, we can have, for example, this application deploy on different embedded devices like CPU, GPUs, FPGA, or ASICs. There is some more explanation about this framework. Just what is important to understand is that to deploy AI applications on embedded devices, we need two different components. The AI application, which is the optimized representation of the model, and the deployment package, which is the collection of tools, executables, and libraries that you can use to execute on the embedded devices. And this deployment package is provided for the reference platforms that we have. So you don't need to worry about that. You just need to train your model, export it to this LPDNN application, which is automated, and we have some scripts for that. And then you can quickly evaluate your models on the embedded devices. Now, what platforms do we have? Okay, so we have around eight reference platforms, which is the Raspberry Pi, the Jetson Xavier, Jetson Nano. We also have the STM32MP1, the Intel NUC, into the IMX Nano and also some x86 devices, so you can use them quickly. We have about eight reference platforms that are more than enough for you to test your models on a variety of different devices, from high-end to lower-end, and MCUs as well. We also have more platforms. We have several pages of those, but the ones that we are officially supporting is around those 8. So this is basically what we have, all the content that was created in the previous open call and throughout the years of the Bonseyes and Bonseyes project. As you can see, everything I've been showing to you is in GitLab, so it's closed, it's not accessible at the moment. So once you join the project, you can use it and we can give you access to that. Now, eventually, all this content will be pushed to the Bonseyes marketplace. The Bonseyes marketplace is this platform where we want to publish the challenges, but we also want to publish the solutions and the applications and platforms that have been created. And this is my dashboard. So this is the Bonseyes marketplace. This is a beta version at the moment. And here you can see my profile, the research that I've been looking to, data set that I downloaded, challenges that I joined, or things that I purchased. And here you can already see, and this is public, you can come here and check it out. You have the challenges that were published in the first open call. So this is a little bit what I explained to you before about the challenges, the description of what needs to be done or solved. So you can have a look, see if your solution or your challenge that you want to publish is somehow similar to this one, and if it can be somehow reused. And then we also have a marketplace to provide AI applications, solutions, and platforms. This at the moment is not yet complete. We have a few examples of different AI applications, but we don't have all those applications as I was mentioning before. So for that, you will be using, first of all, GitLab, and then once we slowly will be pushing content to the Bonseyes marketplace so that other people can try it out or even purchase it. So for example, if you can hear, this is an application for face detection in Ubuntu 18, just in the simple x86 PC with CUDA, and you can buy this. So eventually, once you provide your applications with some commercial license, then people can come here and buy it. We have the same for solutions. So if you create a solution, which is the objective of this open call, then it can be bought by any of the user that is interested about this. For example, here we have this solution about occupant detection. So this is an example. And here you're in a car and then you're detecting the passenger, the driver, and you can detect several things at the same time. For example, the face, the body pose, gender, age, if it is a cat or a dog in the car, etc., etc. So this is how an AI solution looks like. And finally, also platforms, the ones I was mentioning before. We have some reference platforms, and here you have some examples for the Jetson Xavier, Jetson Nano, and the Raspberry Pi as well. Also, we have community in the Bonseyes marketplace, so you can check out your research, if something can be useful or not. So we provide a lot of content in terms of research, data sets that can be reused or not, and also a community. And finally, this documentation that was explained before, we have all documentation about the user guides, how you can use our tools and workflows, and developer guides, how you can create new tools and workflows. And this documentation is quite advanced. You can come here and try different features or workflows of the platform, and also you can build your own ones if you desire. So I think I will stop here. This is what I'm trying to explain is how you can reuse and what's been available in the Bonseyes marketplace. So now I'm happy to take as many questions as you want on how you can create your own, or how you want to publish or submit your own application with a new AI challenge, and how you can reuse all the content that's already available. So thanks a lot, and I'm open for questions.
Okay. Perfect, Miguel, for the presentation. I see we do not have questions in the chat. So also, well, if any of the participants would like to, well, speak out, or if you're shy, you can write in the chat, but we leave the floor open. Okay, we got one. from Michael Ramense, sorry if I don't spell it correctly. So what about uncertainty, quantification, or other performance measures related to sensors or context descriptions? Aren't these specifications not the most important for real world usage, commercial usage?
Yes, and that's a good point. In the challenges, I'm not sure if I showed it, but we have a definition or a specification of signals, and this input signal, output signal, and this also the context. So you can specify those context specifications, and those should be addressed by the talent that's going to solve the challenge. So that can be, of course, embedded into the specifications.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if it is going to be commercial or not, and that should be defined as well.
Okay, I see, Michael, that you unmuted yourself. I don't know if that.
Thanks a lot. That's fine. I am happy with the answer.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question from Hello Gordini. How can we access the ecosystem?
So at the moment, you can access the Bonseyes marketplace. We can drop a link. I think it's already been explained by Isabella in previous webinars. It's in beta version, so it's not finished. And you can access what I was showing before at the end. So you can go to the marketplace. You have a few examples about AI applications, platforms, challenges, but not all the content is already available there. So once you join the application, once you join the program, then we will give you access to all the content. At the moment, there's only a few examples you can access to.
And this follows the question, like how can SME check the available tools before the application? So I believe this.
So the tools, you can use them already with those examples that we provide. That's not a problem. So you can install the Bonsai CLI tool that is described in the documentation in the Bonseyes marketplace. And then you can go through the example of setting up an embedded device, running an application or an AI asset as well. So the tools can be accessed already and can be tried. However, the content, so all those different applications and AI assets, is a bit more limited. We only provide a few examples.
Thank you, Miguel. Yeah, maybe here I can also add, like in case that this is like to write the winning proposal, as much as, well, if you can try to refer to these tools as much as you can, it raises your probability of being selected, right? But of course, we are aware that there is limited information on that, and we will help you with like defining actually the stage 0 of the support program is helping like to define all these details now for the development of the AI tool. So that is also key. Okay, then from Irache, is it mandatory to use the dataset of the catalog? In that case, they are open source or licensed?
No, it's not mandatory. What we say is that if you can reuse something that's already available, it's much easier. But it's true that most of the datasets that were provided in the first open call are not commercial. So maybe you can use it for pre-training. So you can use some dataset for pre-training, but then you will need to bring your own dataset, commercial datasets, if you want to commercialize the final solution.
Perfect, thank you. Then another one from Nayara. If an AI challenge does not belong to any of the sectors mentioned, whether it's robotics, manufacturing, automotive, is it still eligible for this open call?
So here the answer is yes, but with a bit of caution. So we are going to select those challenges that reuse to the most extent what's been available already in the Bonseyes marketplace. So if your challenge doesn't fit into these 4 different verticals, that's fine, but at least it should reuse those AI assets or those applications that are already available, because creating something from scratch is quite time consuming. So the idea is that you can reuse most of the content and then create something new on parallel, but it should be something that is somehow related to computer vision or speech recognition. If it is much more different than that, also signal processing. If it is much more different than that, then it's going to fall out of the scope probably of the application.
Perfect. Thank you for that. And then we have Angelo Gordini. We already applied as AI talents, I believe, for expression of interest. Will us be given access to the resources shown? I believe, Angelo, you mean the resources of the Bonseyes marketplace, right? So
Yes, yes.
So in this case, you will, the application is for SMEs. So SMEs will be accepted in the program, and the SMEs will be the ones that hire talents. So once they have hired you, then we will give you access to the content. If you don't get hired, then the content is what you see at the moment in the Bonseyes marketplace, which you can already check it out. Eventually, we will provide more content, which you can also try out, etc., etc. But for the moment, until we push all this content, that's what's been available at the moment.
perfect. Thank you, Miguel.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Perfect. So I think I read all the questions. I don't know if anyone else, we still have 10 minutes in case you would like to consult something with us, then the floor is open. Anyway, of course, we'll share this like summary. Well, of course, the video will be available, as well as we'll also prepare some summary of these questions. Okay, I see also another question, the last one. In regard to AI talents, do we have to select them in advance or only once we are selected for funding? So here, well, I can take this because we are engaged. So no, I mean, of course, we have this pool of the AI talents that are validated, that are already in our ecosystem. In the application form, you will see that there is a question where you can indicate on what kind of profile you are missing in your company to be able to develop the AI solution. So it's not required to find your match with AI talent. This is something we'll support you with in stage 0, but you can already tell us who you need so we can start this process once you are accepted, and be ready for this stage 0 that will start in February. I don't know, Miguel, if you want to add something on this part.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. So probably if you have some needs beforehand, you can say them. Otherwise, once the project starts, then we will match their talents with your needs, basically.
Yeah, also, if you have some AI talents in mind that you would like to work with, you just should invite them to apply to this expression of interest so they get validated before the program starts, and then they will be just pool of our providers and you will be able to also select them. Okay, another question, where should we ask question after this meeting, if any? Well, I'm not sure, Laura, if you can share our help desk email directly. So this is the best way to ask, and then we also have a community where you can ask it. Oh, thank you, Laura. So you have the email in the chat box. Another question, are NLP-based challenges are welcome or only compute vision ones?
They are welcome. So we have at the moment keyword spotting, which is not really NLP, but we have audio processing, sort of say. So if NLP could be welcome, however, I would try to combine it with also computer vision or signal processing. Because if you only use NLP-based challenge, then you will need to build everything from scratch. However, if your challenge is a bit more general and can take some NLP plus camera-based applications, then you can rely those camera-based applications on what's already available in the Bonseyes marketplace, and then you develop your own NLP application. So that's fine.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Perfect. So I don't see more questions.
Just maybe one comment, if it wasn't clear before. The idea is to deploy these solutions on edge devices. Okay, so that's the purpose of this project. So we can really deploy on the edge and deep edge. So regarding this NLP, usually they're quite resource consuming. So if you it should be adapted in somehow to run on a Jetson Xavier or Jetson Nano, for example. It's not we don't focus on NLP models for cloud. Just to make a comment on that.
Okay. Perfect. I don't see more questions, so I believe, well, we can just thank you, Miguel, for answering all the questions, and also for participants for asking them. Okay, if I can turn next slide, because I wanted, yeah, to just summarize. Okay, I have a problem with my PowerPoint. That, yes, of course, you're more than welcome to ask your questions through the help desk, but also if you're now, like, if you have started to write your proposal, because indeed we are one month till the deadline, we will also have this final countdown webinar with Q&A and tips 1 week before the deadline, so you can improve it or like solve your last questions. Okay, so I believe Laura will post also the Eventbrite link to register in case there are some last minute questions. And again, please do not forget about the deadline. There's still plenty of time to ask us questions and to prepare the application. And thank you very much for today. I believe we can close with this. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.